Welcome to Live Action Star Wars Presents Data Link. I'm Ralph.
I'm James.
And today we're discussing Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga.
So, yeah, the Skywalker Saga, or is it No, it is the Skywalker Saga, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because there was a complete saga.
But then it was incomplete.
Where it was the 6.
Yeah.
We're not doing it alone.
We are not.
We are joined by the guy who made us watch Star Wars characters dance in YouTube videos. It's Ed.
Hello.
Somehow still my friend.
Yeah, I stand by my choices.
Stevie's here in the chat as well. Morning, Stevie.
Morning.
Yeah, so I haven't played this game at all yet. So I wanted to bring in someone who could speak with a little bit more authority on it. Ralph, you have played the game, haven't you?
A very little bit.
A very little bit, but still more
There's
than
kind of
more
a
than...
reason why only a little bit.
Okay, interesting. Ooh, teasing it.
Ed.
Yeah.
What are you playing Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga on?
I am playing it on the PlayStation 4.
Okay.
I thought I was tempted to get it for Switch just for the portability. But we've got a little one running around in the house, and I thought having it on the big telly and not in a place where he can take it to bed is a good idea.
Smart.
Yeah,
that is smart.
But I mean, I've seen various different sort of comparisons of all the different versions, and it seems like largely they're all running pretty smoothly, apart from one in particular.
Oh, really? Which one? Who's got the janky port?
So I'm playing on the Switch.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And I have to assume it's that one.
Is it janky?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Oh, that's a shame.
I stopped playing because me and Stevie get the Lego games because we like to play them together.
Yeah.
And we usually get it on PS4. I have my Vader PS4,
Nice.
and so we'll play on there because we had 2 controllers and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. We like the DC games. I think, or I guess they're called Lego Batman, but they kind of changed over.
Yeah.
So it's fun. We play co-op through the story mode, and then do free play, sort of together or individually. But usually the story mode is we play together. So we got this on the Switch because I have a Switch Lite, and I could play it on there when I feel like it. And then we can play on the TV or handheld. It's nice. The portability is great.
You've definitely sort of become more of a Switch player than anything else, haven't you, in the last couple of years? If you're playing anything,
mostly the pandemic, because Animal Crossing came out right at the same time.
Yeah.
So I played a ton of that. And yeah, Stevie says it's like the only game we can play together. Unfortunately,
oh no,
within the first, I want to say half hour of us playing it on the Switch when we first got it, it crashed twice completely. Where we had to back out of it. I don't know if there's been any patches, any updates. So I was like,
you'd like to hope that they're sort of trying to fix that stuff.
Right. And you can just kind of tell, when you get to Gungan City, there's some stuff where, how usually when you get far away from something, certain graphics disappear because they're not needed, and they kind of pop in.
Yeah.
When you get closer, that kind of shit was happening right next to you.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, it's kind of glitchy, but it is I don't know, week 2 of the game. Yeah, we had to completely replay a couple of levels. We played the droid control ship twice, maybe even 3 times. And that's the first level. Well, I mean, if you play in episode order, that's the first level. And I was just it was getting frustrated, but we were just powering through it. And then so I'm just keep playing. I'll jump in on free mode. And then it got even worse. So I just I'm okay, I'm just gonna I'll just have her play it. And so I downloaded it on my Switch Lite. And I was going to play it while she was playing, but I can't play at the same time.
That's a shame.
So I was like, okay, so I guess I just kind of won't play. And she asks me if I want to play. She's like, you want to play Lego? And I'm like, I don't know. Because
like,
it seems like it feels like mostly my fault. Because when we're doing free play, I'm like, I'm going to jump into this ship, crash.
That
I'm gonna go
sucks.
over here.
So it's
Crap.
okay. It's okay when you're playing single player, but
Yeah.
then when you try and do co-op is when it
Oh,
starts.
interesting.
Well,
That's-
but that's the thing. It's not like it's unpredictable on when it's going to crash.
Okay.
It's like if both of you happen to be doing something that takes a lot of
Yeah.
thinking to process.
Yeah, a lot of processing power.
I mean, some of the fights, like they're relatively big and just like lasers and lightsabers and stuff, sparks flying everywhere. So I imagine like some of the fights just must make it absolutely fall off a cliff.
Well, here's the thing: is I don't know. The story mode's very strange to me,
Mhm.
in the fact that I never played any like level bosses.
Oh, okay.
I saw her fight Darth Maul,
Mhm.
so I kind of bounced out like in Feed.
Mhm.
So
I'm guessing
Mid-
it's what
Gungan
the
City.
third episode, third
yeah,
level?
third level of
if I
episode.
had to guess just based on the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it is.
but something I found strange, and I don't know if this is the case, is when you start a level, there's a marker that shows you where to go.
Mhm.
You go to that marker, and it pops up another marker, and you go to that marker, and it pops up another marker, and you can pretty much,
like a
from
trail
what
of
I've
breadcrumbs,
seen,
right?
yeah, you can just walk through the level, following those markers, and just go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was strange. There's not a lot of missions during the level. There's a ton of side missions.
Yeah.
But there's no, like, when you're in Gungan City, there's no real, it didn't feel like there was any real sort of main level goal. It's just, here's an open world with
Get
side
to the
missions. Go have fun. When you're ready to go on to the next level, get to this guy. So you could, when I was playing, I was like, oh, you can just walk through this game literally and get from cutscene to cutscene.
Kind of.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I played any of the Lego games. Has that always been the way, though? I feel like that.
They would have levels. They'd
Yeah.
have a beginning and an end that you would get to, but you'd fight guys in between.
Yeah, of course.
And so this is like, so episode 1 would be like 4 or 5 mini open world games.
Level. Yeah.
Essentially.
So each film has 5 like scripted levels, which are, as you would normally expect, like a Lego game. You know, you're finding 10 mini kits. Well, I think it's 5 mini kits in this one.
So I'm guessing. So for episode 1, I'm guessing it's droid control ship, Utaganga, Theed, Tatooine, back on Naboo.
It's something like that.
Okay.
I found.
Of course.
I found the level choice really weird in this game, and also the actual levels themselves are really quite short. But they are padded out, like you say, with dropping you back in the sort of open world, like hub areas, which there's loads of around the galaxy, like one for basically each named planet that you go to across the saga. And
it felt like this game was built for free play.
Yes, absolutely it is.
Based on the scale of it, it feels that way. And am I right in thinking that you can just play any movie in any order that you want?
You can go ahead if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah. To a degree, but when you first load up, it's the first of each trilogy that's unlocked. And then when you beat that, you get the second one and then the third one, essentially. So you can choose which era you want to play.
Yeah,
first.
you play which trilogy you want to play first. So you can do release order, like episode order, or machete order if you wanted. Or
for me, or if you hate the sequel trilogy like some people, you can get that out of the way. But for me, I was like, this seems like the one of the few like times that episode order is totally acceptable. Like I feel like
I played through it in like release order, so I did originals, then prequels, then sequels.
Interesting.
And like, because originally, like I said, moved in with the little one now, and he is 5, so he's never watched live action Star Wars in any capacity. He's
What about
done
the
loads
movies?
He's all the movies. He loves them. No,
Just
he's,
hates us.
yeah, exactly. He loves the cartoons and like Lego shows and things like that. And so we were talking about watching a film and then playing the levels of that film. So like he sort of experiences the films.
Good way of doing it.
Plays it. And we got 20 minutes into A New Hope, and he was like, "Can we play the game yet?" And it's like, "All right." So he's just sort of,
play the first 2 levels.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like dangle
your
the game.
education.
Dangle the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because I wanted to see like how it did the sort of story reveals and stuff, and for the most part, like you can follow the story of the saga through the games. Obviously, it's hugely abridged, but
I mean, and the Lego games have always been good at that. They'll tell the story and they'll poke fun where it's needed, and they'll, as you said, they'll abridge it massively. But you'll get the hits. You'll play the key moments.
And this one, I don't know if it's the first Star Wars one or not. It's not the first Lego one, but it's the first Star Wars I think I've played which has full voice acting.
They've been doing that for a little while, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I've done a Star Wars with it, but
I can't remember. I don't think the others did.
We got the deluxe version, which has the mumble pack.
Oh,
So
really?
you can play it where they just mumble the voices.
Do the old Lego game.
Yeah.
Lego games, yeah.
I think I have that. I think I got that version, but I haven't scoped out that setting. I might have to give it a try and see how it compares.
So the voice acting in this one, go on,
Ralph. Is that how you're playing it, with the mumble on, or are
No,
you playing
no.
the voice acting? Yeah.
No, it's the voice acting.
So the voice acting in this one, is it new recordings or is it just pulling dialogue from the movies?
All new.
It's all new recording.
That's cool. That's good, because I know that some of the other licensed ones that they've done, they've just pulled clips. I believe that that's how they've done like voice acting and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's all new stuff, and for the most part, all the voices are really solid. Like
video game voice acting is
yeah.
second to none these days.
You know,
like, yeah,
you squint
I think
your
I
ears,
only
and it could just be the actors.
You could tell Jar Jar is not Ahmed Best,
Yeah,
sure,
but it's still pretty good. Watto's pretty good. The one that I had a really I was kind of struggling with was Dexter Jetster.
Dexter's pretty apparent, but he's not hugely in it. The one which you'll get to, which just isn't right for me. Like, it's serviceable and it works, but it's just not Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. He's great when he's got his mask on. The filter they've got on the voice when it's masked up is exactly the same as he is in the movies, but like when he's face to the wind, it's just not quite there. It's very like I don't want to say generic because it's great, like the voice actor's great, but it's just not got his like deep bassiness to it.
Okay, I've got the cast up for the game now. I'm just scrolling through it. There's so far I found 4 actual actors reprising their roles.
Oh, really?
I know one.
So let's play the little game.
No.
Let's go back and forth. So Ed, let's start with you. Who's reprising their actual role?
I mean, absolutely Harrison Ford, right? 100% he's in there. Who's reprising their role? Interesting.
Who always reprises their role?
I know one.
Yeah. Go for it, Ralph.
Go for it. Yeah,
Anthony Daniels is C-3PO.
Oh,
Golden Tony.
I thought he retired.
I thought he had to, but who knows? I mean, but yeah. Golden Tony is absolutely there. JT Kell, you got it, of course. Anthony Daniels. You like.
Did you guys? There was a show. I don't know if you got it over there. There's a show over here called Lego Masters.
Yes,
we've got a version of it.
We get the Australian one as well.
Yeah, there's the Australian one. There's that one.
So there was a
shout out to the Throwback podcast. One of the producers of Lego Masters US is co-host of the Throwback podcast.
Oh,
really
that's
good show.
Yeah.
So they had C-3PO on an episode.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that, but it wasn't Anthony Daniels.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was Anthony Daniels said he was retiring after Rise
Yeah.
of Skywalker, and then I was surprised to hear him in this, but maybe he's just doing voice stuff. But
Retired
it was
from movie appearances,
I
possibly.
have no idea, but the guy they got to do it was not good.
Yeah.
For those of you that seen Hardware Wars,
Oh wow.
he was like I don't know what they call C-3PO in Hardware Wars, but he
Oh, I
sounded
can't
like
recall.
that guy.
Oh man,
Sounded like that guy, not RT Deco. It's I don't know. He looked like the Tin Man
Yeah.
with
Classic.
sunglasses or something. Yeah.
So just scrolling through here,
I've got one guess, but I don't know. I mean, obviously he wasn't the voice in the movie, but does Sam do Darth Maul?
Witwer.
Yeah.
Sam, let me find.
I think he
Sam
does
Witwer.
the Emperor in it.
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
mean that's his two.
Yeah.
I found another one just from going through. I found another actual actor. They've got a few.
Matthew Wood.
No, but I mean possibly. I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in there.
There's a bunch actually. There is
Jeremy
a lot.
Kelly is guessing Tamara Morrison.
No, so Tem isn't because they have D. Bradley Baker. So D. Bradley Baker's doing all the clones and Django. But
yeah.
Daniel Logan plays Boba Fett,
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
which is
that
cool.
is cool.
I would never have guessed that.
No. I don't know if it's only playing the younger one. Probably not, though. I'd guess by
Right.
the fact that he probably would struggle to do the younger Boba now more than
Yeah.
older Boba.
Would Warwick Davis be in there? I feel like he has his.
I mean, he'd probably get the credit in the same way they used to credit Kenny Baker.
Yeah.
Other ones that I can see here, we've got Brian Blessed is back as Boss Nass, Billy D. Williams as Lando.
Jesus,
Those
are like good ones.
Yeah, D.
Yeah,
Bradley
they're really
Baker. Greg Grunberg as Snap Wexley.
Probably has just like a couple lines.
So James
Yeah.
Arnold Taylor, who voiced Obi-Wan in all the animated stuff, he's back as Obi-Wan. So I think it's a case of if you've got an animated voice, you get that person more often than not. But Jay Lagaya as Captain Typho, which is a small role. They definitely could have replaced him, but they've got him back.
Yeah.
It's Jessica Henwick as Jess Tester in this, but I'm pretty sure her name was Jess Pavin in the movies.
I mean, in true Lego fashion, the game, it really it does get everyone out of the woodwork in terms of like who you can play as. There's I can't remember exactly how many there are, but there's like
it's like 300 or something.
Yeah,
right?
it's a solid few hundred different characters and so this is the first game I believe that the Lego characters have been like divided by class.
Right, because there's
you've
so
had
many.
it. You've had it sort of unofficially in games before, where it's like certain types of characters will have certain types of moves.
I was gonna say, like certain guys will only be able to break through certain things, won't they?
Yeah. But in this one, they are actually defined by class, and you can actually upgrade certain classes. So, like one of the big collectibles of the game is Kyber bricks, which are just like glowy blue Lego bricks, and you use those and money to basically like level up. So it'll be your scoundrel class, for example, which obviously Han Solo falls into, and then Chewie is in there, and
Lando.
like Lando's in there. You can upgrade, like you can give them the ability to shoot through cover, or like build faster or whatever, and then your Jedi, you can upgrade how much damage they do on reactive attacks and things like that. Like,
so you don't upgrade one character, you upgrade the whole class.
Exactly, yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
So when you've got
with 300
such a
characters,
exactly, when you've got such a vast
yeah.
swath, you'd end up just playing with the same like 5 characters if you did it the other way.
And then there's like a third of the characters maybe all fall into like an other category who just have like basically no powers and they're just there. And I can't tell you how much time I've had running around free play as Bib Fortuna just with no powers, just like watching him in Otto Gunga, just like exactly.
That's great. So I'm looking at more cast here. Again, another voice actor from the animated series, Matt Lanter reprises Anakin Skywalker. Great. And Ralph, you nailed it. Matthew Wood, of course, is back as General Grievous, but also he's playing Kylo Ren, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And then he also is listed as a couple of other characters, and one of them is really intriguing me, and I want to see if you guys have unlocked. Probably Ed would be the only one who has, based on what he's played. He also plays the battle droids, which is cool. So I'm guessing a lot of Roger Rogers and things like that. But he's listed here as Mr. Bones as well. And that is an expanded, well, it's not an expanded universe. That is a character from a book. He's a battle droid that's been reprogrammed by Snap Wexley, like a young Snap Wexley. Yeah. So is he in the game?
I haven't found them.
Okay.
If they are about, but I assume that it'll either be, it'll probably be like a character that you can find in a room somewhere, but then But then you can just play as them after that point. Like that tends to be the way that I'm finding it, is when you're running around in free play, you'll just stumble into a room and there'll be like a couple of characters arguing, and then you beat them up, and then you can run around as them forever. And it's just sort of like, it's quite a interesting way of having the characters unlocked.
That's a really interesting, that intrigues me more to play this game, is to find those super obscure comic book references in this video game.
Mm-hmm. I only know Mr. Bones because I remember in the Rise of Skywalker trailer there was a battle droid in the back of Babu Frick's shop.
Yeah,
and people were like, "Oh, it's Mr. Bones. Is it Mr. Bones?"
So Mr. Bones is, for anyone who played the old Knights of the Old Republic games, HK-47 was sort of the murder robot he was a good guy on your team, but he was very sassy, very, very murdery. Like to call humans meatbags. And Mr. Bones is a similar sort of character to that. He's a reprogrammed battle droid who, Snap Wexley, when he was a kid, reprogrammed, was kind of like a sort of part nanny, part bodyguard, part just best friend sort of thing. And he ends up, I believe he dies like saving Wedge or something like that. So he's got my respect for that. But yeah, great droid, great fun book character. So it's nice.
You can play as Wedge though, right?
Yeah, I've been running around as Wedge quite a lot in free play.
That'll get James to download it.
Absolutely, I'm sold right now.
Because there's the different classes, you kind of know what powers each one has. When you're running around in free play, you can basically like set out your hotbar of characters as like one of each class.
Cool.
And then you know that you've got everything covered with just like snapping between your hotbar characters. And the hero class character that I've had the most is Wedge. Just because some of the voice lines that he comes out with when you're running around are genuinely hysterical. Like when you run past someone who has like dialogue to talk to you about, and you just run past them, he'll say, "Oh, sorry, I don't have time. Can't you see I'm in my starfighter?" Meow, pew pew pew.
That's great.
It just gets
I'm a big fan of that. I like that a lot. Oh no, I found Captain Antilles, but I haven't found Wedge Antilles. Interesting here though, Tom Kane, that must have been recorded quite a while ago, because Tom Kane voices Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Admiral Akbar. And unfortunately, Tom Kane can no longer record dialogue for games. He had a medical issue last year, quite a severe one. And so all of those introductions for the Clone Wars where he's playing Admiral Yularen, doing that voice, no more. He's had to retire from voice acting, which is a real shame.
They announced this game a long time ago.
It's been delayed in the
coming,
works.
So
yeah,
it's been.
Naomi Aki was back as Janna. Like there's a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, I love Rise of Skywalker.
What a great film.
So I played through those levels yesterday. Finished off the story of the whole thing by playing through those levels yesterday, and like as soon as I finished, I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. Like I don't think I've watched it since like a couple of weeks after home release. And I watched it again yesterday, and I was like, you know what? This is a lot of fun.
It really is.
That's the thing. I remember when I first saw it, it was so much for my brain to process, and it goes by so quickly. it's like probably like the fastest paced Star Wars movie, which I'm sure George would love.
Probably.
And I came out of it and like my brain is like fried.
Yeah.
And it was a little tough to process, and there's like so much going on and like so much emotions and so much it's just goes.
Yeah.
Like what's great is when you watch it again, you can process it better because you understand the story and what's going on.
It's a roller coaster.
But it's nice because it still has that quick pace, so you're not really bored by anything. It just goes. I find sometimes with Star Wars movies, like I feel like skipping like the trash compactor scene,
especially
because it's like
we know those movies so inside and out that it's like I'm not getting anything new from this scene now. Like I've completed it. I can check that one off, kind of thing.
It's kind of like watching Lost and having to sit through a flashback. You're like, I know how the flashback goes.
I know how it relates. Yeah.
So
I know what's relevant and what isn't.
I feel like with Rise of Skywalker, it just goes. I put on a little bit of it the other day, and just like I forget that there's Kylo Ren stuff at the beginning, Rey stuff at the beginning, because I always think of the beginning of Rise of Skywalker as being the light speed skipping.
Yeah, well, that's how
there's so much more that happens.
That's how the game levels start, and like when it dropped in, I was just like, "Oh yeah, this scene is sick! Like this is so much fun." It's just like it just feels like it's fun for the first like half of that movie.
So I was in London over the weekend, just having a good weekend out. Me and Liz went up there to see some friends and just have some time away. And while we were walking around Shoreditch, we walked past a barbecue restaurant that I had a flashback memory of drunkenly being in with Ed while he was working on The Rise of Skywalker, a year before release? It would have been a year, maybe a bit more.
Yeah, it would have been.
And you telling me about some things in that restaurant, sort of looking around because making sure it wasn't too busy. And then sort of for months in the build up to the movie, people debating a certain scene and whether it was A, in the movie or not, or B, if it was a practical effect or a digital effect that was going to be used. When the concept art of the big baby head with the spider on it that was cut from the movie in the end, eventually, if they'd ever shot that or not. And I in the back of my mind, I'm just there reading through these comments going, I know that they did. Because
absolutely did.
How long did you work on that scene? Like
it was a good few days of just like solid creepy baby head, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just too weird? Is it just too weird to do Star Wars?
For that job, we never got sound. So we were just working with the picture for obvious like security reasons and whatever. So I had no idea what was going on. Like I was trying to pick up context clues for the most part.
Was it?
So like, you see a holocron, you recognize a holocron, things like that.
Well, that's it. So, you described what ended up they called the Wayfinder. You described that to me in like great detail, and I was like, holy shit, that's a Sith holocron. Like I know what that is, like just from your descriptions. Yeah.
Do you know where about the baby head was in the movie after seeing it? Like where?
Absolutely no idea.
I was going to say, like, that would be a weird thing to introduce in the final act of the final film.
I don't think it was.
It's in the novelization. Yeah.
I assume it's when he's tracking down the Wayfinder.
It's right at the beginning. Okay. So we find out instead of it just being a random forest, that forest is Mustafar. Yeah. And it's on Mustafar. Yeah. So and like Hux and Pride are both there as well. It's a whole bigger scene. And yeah, either the natives or the people who have been sort of guarding Vader's castle are there, and that's who they're fighting off. That's who he's slaughtering in that scene. And then he goes to this. I can't remember off the top of my head what they call it, but big creepy baby head.
Is it something that's from a book? Is it from?
It was completely made up for this movie. It was new for the movie. Yeah. They've not done anything with it yet, but they might at some point. I'm pretty sure the comic adaptation included it as well, because the concept art was out there. People knew that this thing had happened, and that's where he gets the Wayfinder. So the scene that we see him picking up the Wayfinder comes immediately afterwards. That I believe was like risen out of the water. It was like okay, you're worthy of this thing.
Interesting. Yeah, that creepy baby head spider is not in the Lego game, as far as
Funny that.
I can find.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
No,
I don't know yet.
Have you explored Mustafar to its fullest?
Not to its fullest. No.
There you go. Maybe. You never know. Is Castle Vader in there?
So each sort of like planet that you can go to unlocks when you play it in the story.
Sure.
So like the Galaxy Free Play sort of fleshes out the more levels that you play.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Tatooine, for example, there's like 3 or 4 different like hub places. There's like Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, Jadlam Wastes, I think is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you unlock different areas depending on which part of the story you play. I think the mining refinery is the only one that's
Makes
on
sense.
Mustafar.
Especially if they don't include the Kylo Ren scene from the beginning of the movie in the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only like,
because there's no Rogue One content. Well, no Rogue One levels anyway.
yeah.
That was my other question. So there's characters and things from the stories and from Mandalorian, either available in the game or as DLC that are coming.
Yeah.
But it just sticks story-wise to the 9 movies. Is that correct?
That is all the story content that's in there is 5 levels for each
9.
of the numbered films.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sort of areas around those as free play.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
And yeah, like I said, the levels themselves tend to be pretty small, pretty swift moving. And when you're playing a story, so like say you're playing Phantom Menace, they sort of pad out the 5 individual levels with you, like you said, following the breadcrumbs, running through the open world hub bits to get from A to B. So like, for example, Gungan City, you don't actually go there in a story level.
Okay.
It's like the sort of like muscle between the levels where you run, through the swamp and then go down into the city. And there's like a couple of like hoops that you've got to jump through that are only present in the story version of that free play world. But generally, it is just sort of like following these golden circles until you get to the next sort of circle. It goes play level, and it's like, all right, cool, let's roll.
Yeah, cool. I didn't realize I wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
then you
cool.
hop in the little submarine and you shoot big fish.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
So this game, they rebuilt the engine, correct? Because they've been running off of the old Lego game engine for a long time.
Well, because Lego Star Wars was the first like Lego game as we know what a Traveler's Tales like Lego game to be.
Yeah. Lego was the first licensed Star Wars products.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When did that come out?
Also included the first non-yellow minifigure. Lando Calrissian was the first non-yellow
really
mini. Yeah.
So 2005 was the first like Lego game, which was the prequel trilogy, right?
Would have made sense.
First?
It would have made sense because they would have been advertising episode 3. So yeah.
And then Lego
2005.
Star Wars 2 was the original saga, the original series.
They did change up the controls quite a bit, but I do like the new layout.
Oh yeah, like the like minute-to-minute gameplay is pretty much exactly the same. Like I don't know if you want to pull up the comment. JT Kell asked if it's similar to Lego Marvel Superheroes, and it is the same as it's always been, right? It's that that same gameplay loop of beat waves of bad guys, solve relatively simple puzzles based on whatever power set your characters have. But it does. I don't know how the performance on the Switch affects it, but the combat, the way they've updated the combat, is such a nice, simple, definitely simple, but it's such a breath of fresh air in that it's not just press square until it's gone anymore. Like you've got square is like your basic attack, but then you've got circle is heavy attack and X is like jump attack. So you can kind of combo, and there's no official combos. You just sort of press whatever feels good. So you'll do like a couple of slashes with the lightsaber, then you'll knock them up in the air, and then you'll jump and you'll like force grab them and slam them into the ground.
That's
and different.
If they're attacking you, you'll see a little on mine. It'll say like X will pop above you. It's probably a triangle for you.
So it's whatever the top button
and
is,
if you hit it at a certain time, they do like a special move. Like maybe like Chewbacca will pull the arms out of the sockets or something.
Yeah.
That's cool. Streets of Rage style, quick attack, heavy attack, jump attack.
Exactly. Like
I like to use the shoulder buttons. You can hold them down to essentially like bring up a targeting thing for Jedi, and you can either force push that object or throw your lightsaber at it.
I like that.
So it's nice, and it just pops up really quick, that crosshairs, and you just like if there's something you're trying to get too far away, you just toss your lightsaber up there. It's really easy to use.
It sounds crazy to compare the two, but that side of stuff, like Force moving stuff around in combat and throwing lightsaber and stuff, it feels very Force Unleashed. Like it's really well done. Like it just
works smoothly.
Yeah. And then the same with your non-lightsaber characters. That's how you would put that same targeting thing is how you'd put out a laser, and you'd like be able to aim the pistol in combat, and like it's more of like a reticle as you would imagine. So in like previous games, you would just hit square and you would just shoot at whatever is sort of roughly center of the screen. But now you can hold a trigger and it will actually bring up a targeting reticle, and you can like shoot helmets off of stormtroopers to do more damage, or like shoot the cover specifically to break it so that they don't have any cover or whatever.
So that was going to be my next question. It looks like it's obviously not like a first person shooter sort of style, but there's a bit more to the shooting, because before it was a case of if you're facing in that direction, you're pressing it would be either X or square or whatever it is on the Switch sort of thing. Hitting that just to fire, and then you're just firing off, and it will just sort of automatically go to that thing. Now you have a bit more agency, a bit more choice into where it's firing.
And
does it move the camera down? Does it move the camera down for that, or is the camera always a bit more behind you as opposed to the sort of top down that it was before?
So when you hit the left shoulder button, and the sight comes up in the middle of the screen, and the camera just gets slightly closer and puts you off to the side just a little bit.
It does pull
like it kind of gets you out of the way, but keeps you.
That's what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
That
keeps your target like center to where you were looking.
Yeah.
I think one of the few complaints I have with the game is my favorite thing with Lego games is coming up to a pile of hopping bricks, and you hold down like the circle button, and they start building them really fast. Like there's not a lot of that in this game. It's really strange, because it was always fun and satisfying to see a pile of bricks and be like, I wonder what that's going to be.
What's going to be?
Oh, it's an X-wing or it's a TIE fighter.
And the sound as well is such an iconic like.
It's a satisfying noise, and I feel like that's something they took that straight into the movie. Like it felt like.
Absolutely.
There's some of it, but not as much as previous games.
That's a shame.
They do a cool thing where you'll come across like it happens like maybe 5 or 6 times across all the levels, but you'll come across like a big pile of bouncing bricks, and when you get to build it, you can choose to build it into A or B, and that's how you tackle this sort of area. So like for example, caves in Geonosis, there's you go through these dark caves and you get attacked by a bunch of Geonosian warriors, and you can find a big pile of bricks, and you can either turn them into a giant like sound cannon which will blast through a wall and let you move on, or it'll turn it into like a big like mosquito light, and all the enemies will like run into it and get zapped.
That's clever. I like that.
And so you can like sort of see how you want to approach things, which is it's quite fun, and it gives a bit more replayability as well, like seeing what the different options are.
Jeremy Kelly was asking about the angles. I feel like the angles are better in this game.
Infamous Lego game angles. Oh yeah.
It still has some issues. One of my main thing is playing 2 players is it's split screen, left and right all the time, even if you're in the same area. They used to have a thing in like Lego DC,
like the
where
dynamic
as you
switching.
split off, then the screen would split however
Yeah.
you were situated, which I kind of like that more
I quite liked it.
because you know when you were near the person you were playing with.
And it sort of merged back into one screen if you were
Yeah.
both on the same screen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and
Which
it
was
doesn't do
great.
that. It doesn't do that anymore.
Okay.
And
It's
it would
just the
sort-
split screen.
It would like roll as well, so like you could kind of gain a very vague sort of perspective of where you are in association. So like if you're, you know, far in front of them, you'll be like top of the screen, whereas if you're to the right of them, it will like roll round to the right.
It made it easier to find her when she's like, "Oh, I need an extra hand to finish."
Okay,
to
you're
step
down and
on
to the
this
left
thing."
of me. Sort
And
of,
it was kind of tough to just do it on the split screen. Also, that's another thing with me is when I play these games, my screen's going all over the place, and I've got, you know, this much, even though it's a widescreen TV, I'm looking at this point of view, then she's looking at this point of view, and my eyes get so tired. After
is it fixed?
After like
is
a
it
half
fixed
hour.
vertical split, or can you do horizontal?
Oh, I don't know if the settings you can switch it to horizontal. I haven't scoped it out, but by standard, it's fixed vertical split.
Okay, that's interesting.
The time where I found it most difficult to deal with it.
This is how it is.
Exactly.
This is how it is.
I don't care for this. My face.
Neither do we.
My face.
We don't know why that's even an option.
It's awful.
I've never seen a podcast use that as an option.
No,
get out of here.
The only time that I have really struggled with it is dogfighting in space. Like when there's when you're like trying to spot people, because
you want a wide angle for that.
It's got exactly. It's got the classic like red arrows around the screen to point to where enemy fighters are, and you can like swing round to find them. But like TIE fighters, for example, they're so quick shooting across the screen that when the screen is restricted, they're just gone, and it's like oh god, and you're like swinging around. Everything takes twice as long.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I've played enough Lego games to sort of have a feel for what it's like to run around in those games. But what is like vehicle combat or vehicle movement and things like that? How does that play?
I feel like the spaceship, the fighting is a lot better. When I think about Lego Star Wars, the first one, I remember being in the Death Star, and it wasn't a first person point of view. It's like from outside the ship, and you're like trying to fly around collecting things, and it was like impossible. So they've gone to a third person view.
Yeah, but it's like
every vehicle controls the same.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So holding I don't know, I think it's the B button on the Switch, always is your accelerator no matter what vehicle you're in. And the trigger button's always to shoot. And it's really, I think the flying is really easy. It's not super fast. Which is nice because you're not just flying out of control. It has they've like selected the speed that feels like you're in control of things. You're not bouncing off of the surface of the droid control ship nonstop like in previous games.
Oh god, yeah.
It feels like you can stop and get around stuff. Even though it doesn't feel super fast, it still feels good. It's more satisfying than, being in control than going fast.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not on rails. You still have control over what you're doing.
Yeah, full
That's
control.
good. That's good.
It's not to the level of like Squadrons or whatever, but you do get like those moments where, like, when I found it the first time, I was like, actually, this is really fun. Is when I was Anakin attacking the Trade Federation capital ship, and like like flying around that and then dropping and then doing like a 180 like spin round and then like coming back up and spinning through because it's a good trick, and then blasting a whole bunch of guys as I'm shooting satellites, like doing a run across the top. I was like, actually, this is like this slaps.
You feel like you're
really
in it.
Good fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's fun.
And it's also like generally the way that the stuff's balanced is that it's it's a kids game ultimately, so like the challenge is not really present in the dogfighting when you are able to control the ship. Like the only times I've really died in a spaceship is when I've accidentally smashed into a bigger ship, So it does feel really good when you're doing like strafe runs and just like everything is exploding around you and you're just like unscathed flying through the explosion.
sliding
It
around.
kind of reminds me of like Star Fox, but a little
Yes.
more freedom to move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's a lot of stuff happening around you that you don't need to be involved with, but it just kind of makes it more dynamic.
For sure.
So
when you're on the ground, there's a few moments where the wonky angles are back. But I found in this one they've done. But my main issue with the wonky angles has always been like trying to make precise jumps, and I think in this one they've done a really cool thing where if you're jumping towards like a bar or something to grab onto, it actually comes up with a prompt which will say jump and then have like the jump button, so you know that is where you are jumping to. Like that bar is what you can see and that's what you're aiming for.
That's good. That's what you want.
And it also
like
helps you with some of the platforming when you're on Naboo in the swamps. Like you'll be on a little tiny island in the swamp, and then there'll be like 4 little stones that you can jump across to get to the next one.
Yeah.
And it kind of, as long as you're pointing at it and you hit jump, it kind of will just land right on it.
Yes.
Like there's some things that'll help you just kind of, it's not necessarily platforming so much as it is, I don't even know what, just jumping. Like it's not, you don't have to like aim. There's a couple of things where you have to aim. There's this one thing on Feed that I was trying to do for fucking ever. It was, there's a Kyber brick up hovering above like a river in Feed.
Oh my god, yeah.
And so I had to pull these different like containers and drop them like lily pads in the water, but they're super wobbly lily pads. So you got to set them just right to where you're like, I can only be on this lily pad for like a split second. So I need to make sure I line them up just right. And I kept jumping and sliding off of that thing over and over and over again.
That sounds like classic Lego game for sure.
Yeah, and like touch the water and it's instant death, and it's like back to the shore. Let's try again.
So it was one of those things where I'm like, the challenge of getting this brick is dealing with this bullshit. Like that's what it was. Like it's not that everything's bullshit. It's just like that was the challenge for this.
To get to that
trying to balance on the most wobbly thing. I went through. I fell in the water like 20 times. So I was like, okay.
There's some games where like, the repetitive challenge is part of it. If you're playing like I don't know, like a skateboarding game or something like that, the repetition of that is kind of part of it. Whereas with something like this, it's like I know what I've got to do. Just like come on, I've got it all laid out. Just let me make those jumps.
It's worth noting as well, though, that is like that specific area is optional. It's a brick. It's like a collectible item that's in a free play area. You don't
need to do it.
As far as I remember, there's no point in any of the stories where it is that like finicky.
That's good. So
because getting the Kyber bricks is a challenge. Like there's always something. Some are definitely way easier than others. Some you have to go through like a whole quest helping out different Gungans and their gooberfish. Like you talk to like 10 different people and you get like have to go through like 5 different barriers to get one Kyber brick. Or there's other ones where you just climb a statue and there it is.
And again, the Kyber bricks are good to get because they help you upgrade your classes. But fundamentally, like all the characters from base level, like they have all their abilities. You're not unlocking abilities; you're improving them.
Okay.
So, all the Jedi can do Force push, but you can upgrade it so the Force push does more damage. Like you don't have to. You don't have to have any Kyber bricks for anything.
That's good.
But when you see that Kyber brick just dangling over the water, you're like, I'm getting that.
Of course you want it.
Yeah. The speaking of the missions, the Lego games I've always had like sort of love-hate relationship with being a completionist in because they're always really satisfying to 100%, but there is always a wall that you get to where it's like this is just busy work now.
It's just the grind of
yeah. And the one which was infamous for me was Lord of the Rings, the Lego Lord of the Rings game, because a lot of the way that you unlocked characters and stuff in that was doing quests across Middle Earth. And it was always super generic, like, oh hi, I'm in Rivendell, I need you to take this to Mordor, and you would just have to walk to get to Mordor to get to another character, and then
it's not simple.
It's not simple. It's not, walking to Mordor is not simple.
No. That's the exact quote.
Yeah.
You don't simply just do that.
Yeah, exactly. But in this game, there's elements of that. Like the DNA is still there. You know, fetch quests and escort quests and stuff are still prevalent for unlocking characters specifically, but they're fun and flavorful, and there's like really dumb jokes which work really well. So like I found
the Lego humor has always been sort of second to none. I
found this guy who was like, hi, I've got this shipment that needs to go to Yavin 4. Can you sling it over? And so, you know, hopped in the Falcon, went up into space, flew to Yavin 4, and then it like drops me into a few dogfights where the Empire were like, get that shipment, and just like blast a few TIE fighters, tick a few boxes, get to Yavin 4, and meet up with the drop-off point, and the guy was like, oh, wicked, oh, shipment of medals, oh wait, we're one short. And it's just it's just stuff like that. It's just really fun. Like
the sense of humor is there.
Really yeah, definitely. That's good. That's what you want. So my next question, and it sort of relates to something that Jeremy asked here, is he wants to get it for his son.
That was my excuse.
Yeah, Ed, you're playing it with a 5-year-old. But you're playing it with a 5-year-old. Ralph, you're playing it with Stevie. Is there enough there that obviously you say gameplay wise you can just follow the breadcrumbs and it's accessible to a 5-year-old could play this game, but is there enough of a challenge? Is there enough fun there that someone in their Ed 20s, me 30s, Ralph at 40s, like there's enough there that if you're a Star Wars fan, at least you're gonna get some enjoyment out of it?
I mean, you get it's an open world. It's Star Wars, so you're gonna, if you like Star Wars and you feel like walking around Coruscant, you're gonna love it. I mean, and the gameplay it's so easy that you don't feel overwhelmed. Like I tried playing Knights of the Old Republic like several times, and there's so many like convoluted like upgrades, and the control scheme is odd, and it's slightly more of a turn-based battle.
It was, This is like, it's funny. I've tried to go back to it. I've tried to replay those games. I can't do it now. Like I played through them both back when they first came out, but I couldn't do it now.
But I mean, this is like Zelda controls. It's one for one. It's like you have your attack button, your jump button, and then your talk to people button, and you get prompts for all of those things. So if you forget, you know what to do.
But you don't feel. It doesn't feel like too light. You're still enjoying it enough. There's still enough there that you keep playing.
I mean, that's the key then. All the story missions I've played through solo, the stuff that's really shined with co-op has been like bumming around in free play, and you know, showing him all the characters, and you know, he can just blast whoever he wants and do whatever he wants, and doesn't really have to think about.
And you get to play Wikipedia whenever he has a question about a certain character.
It makes me feel so smart. And I got nothing on you guys, but that sweet you know, juicy feeling where I'm explaining the rule of two. But the free play is definitely where this game shines. There's some really fun puzzles that, like, some of the jokes in the quests are really like on point. And it's like with all the Lego games, I find it's the things that I don't expect that I latch onto the most. So like certain characters that I don't expect to play with, but the way that they feel really vibe. So like for some reason, my Jedi of choice at the moment is Kit Fisto, because like I've always kind of liked Kit Fisto, but the way that like his timing of his lightsaber swings just works really well with the way that I hit the square button. Like it feels really nice.
So they're all slightly different in that way then.
To a lot, like
even like prequel Obi-Wan is different than episode 4 Obi-Wan.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
And like the one that I really noticed it was Rey, because obviously a lot of her lightsaber fighting is like stab based, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try out like a whole bunch of different people. And yeah, like they're little differences, but they do generally play quite differently. and then like certain locations to explore surprising me a lot. Like I've found that in free play, at least, I've been mostly exploring places from the sequel trilogy just because I don't know them as well. So it's just
you're not quite as
fun.
familiar. Yeah.
Like Kifis wicked. Like
I feel
I was just gonna say the area that when I was going into free play, I was like, I'm just going to do this alphabetically. Let's just start at 100% this area and go to the next one. So I went to Acto, the Temple Island, and was running around on there. And I have been to Skellig where they filmed it. And I like with basically the sort of general music loop of Jedi steps playing the whole time and just like running around like the hive like buildings. I was just sort of like, there was a moment, the monastery. There was a moment where I was like, "This is really good. Like, this is exactly what it's like."
What was the geography like compared to real life?
Like, I mean, it is not identical, but it's like this is Skellig. This feels like running around that island.
I'm sure that the people who built that monastery in the 1600s or whatever, they had Lego games in mind when they built it.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. They were like, "This is going to look wicked with a little Lego frog nun next to it."
Yeah. James, I don't know if Liz is into playing games or not, but I feel like if you were to get this game and play it, she could jump in at any time and
it's the sort of game
fully understand the controls and running around. So.
That's cool.
You know, if you don't get the Switch version, you might have more success playing.
I don't own a Switch, so I definitely wouldn't be getting the Switch version. That'd be a whole waste. I'm gonna have to go because I've got to go to work. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to wrap up the show this week. But Stevie says here that the DC Supervillains has been her favorite so far. For you guys, just so that I'm aware, like I think you've both played enough of the Lego games that you've got probably a bit of a ranking. How does this one stack up?
Personally, I think this is the best that they've been. Cool. I don't know if it's my favorite. I need to spend a little bit more time with it. I actually haven't played Supervillains, but Lego Star Wars 2, which was the first like Lego Batman 2, which was the first like open world
DC superheroes.
One. Yeah. That one has always been like in my head the sort of one that I rank against. Is like, do I have more or less?
That's the bar. That's the bar.
That's the bar. Yeah. That's the bar.
Yeah, I would recommend. There's like Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes is really good. It's a nice, really big open world. DC Supervillains does the same thing, but it divides it into like 3 areas. It's like an open world Metropolis connected to an open world Gotham with like
that's cool.
Sort of Arkham Island, but you can be any flying superhero and fly from Wayne Tower to the Daily Planet, and you could see it all. That's very cool. And we played that on Switch, and I don't remember it being buggy at all. So if you're into the DC shit, like it's like 200 DC characters. And
do you ever play as anything other than a Green Lantern, Ralph?
Very rarely. I will play as they have a character, Frankenstein.
Okay.
Who is a bulky character, so you can lift stuff and pull up rocks and pull out the heavy things. But he also has like these 2 machine guns, and so it's also you can hurt people from far away because usually the strong guys
don't have a range
punch. Yeah, they don't have range. So. But then in DC Supervillains, I went over to they had Atrocitus, so he was a big guy and he had a lantern ring.
Yeah.
So I might go play now. I think we have it downloaded, or we have the.
Screw this Star Wars nonsense.
But I think I'm done. I don't have much more to say. If you want to stick around, if you have time, or you have to like. Are you?
I'm out of here. I've got. I got a bail right now.
I'll see James. I'll see you next week for episode
Phantom
1.
Menace. I will be back next week to talk about the Phantom Menace. Until then, for a very long outro. Don't give in to hate.
All right.
And we'll leave it hanging there. I'll see you guys soon.
All right. I'll see you. Oh, thank God he's gone.
Oh, what a bloody person.
Buy
what
the
a
game.
guy. What a God.
It's $60.
Yeah, right.
$60.
I don't think I have anything else that I want to
Neither
say
do
other than so each of the boss fights has like a title card to it, where the Kylo Ren drops in and it'll be like slap text Kylo Ren, and then underneath there's like a couple of lines of Orabesh, and I was just sort of not really thinking about it, and then I think it came up on, it was either TikTok or Instagram or something. There was a video that I sent to James because I was like, you have to play this, where someone was like translating all the Orabesh. So it's worth going, because like some of them are generally kind of just like regular information. I've got a few prepped to read. So like the Jango Fett one just says like donor for the clone army or whatever. But some of them are genuinely hysterical. So like when you fight Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker, the Orabesh underneath his name that comes up just says, yeah, him again. And stuff like that. It's just really good.
You know what's funny is the like that would have been awesome for the Rogue One soundtrack. Because Michael Giacchino always does the pun titles for his soundtracks.
Oh, mate, yes.
But Lucasfilm was like, maybe not this time.
Yeah.
But they put them inside the liner notes. So in the liner notes, if you open it up, you can see his alternate pun titles. But that would have been good to do put the real title in English, but in Arabesh do his title. That would have been good.
That would have been very good.
It's really funny. It's like alternate titles. That's damn.
Yeah, but no, you should if anyone does like grab this game and play it, it's worth like when a boss comes up, just seeing if you can find what the Orabesh translates to, because generally they're pretty fun. And there's a few like dumb jokes in Orabesh around. Like I saw on the subreddit, someone posted that there was just like a Lego box with like the Imperial logo on it, and then in Orabesh, just the word "box" is written on it. And it's like, of course it is.
Right. This has my interest too. But Stevie asks, has anybody figured out the scavenger glider yet? When does that unlock?
So yeah, scavenger is one of the classes for those that haven't played, and one of the things that they can do is they've got like 3 gadgets that they can use. So there's the breaker blaster, which is like a big cannon you can use to smash through particular walls. There's the net gun, which you can use to make nets to climb walls. But then the glider, I think, is just built in the same way. So the way that I unlocked it was because obviously I did original trilogy first. So first scavenger character that you unlock in that is Wicket. You don't get any scavengers until like that point in the story. Right. And it was, I think it was not in a level, it was like a free play section, but you find like 3 blueprint tables which give you the plans for each of them. So I assume that's the same case with each. So like when you first play Force Awakens, there's a point in the story where Rey, you go into a room and you use all 3 of them. So I assume if you do that first, then that's where you unlock them all. I'm trying to think who the scavenger is in the prequels.
Would it be like Watto?
I don't know.
Because we have the scavenger we unlocked because we got the deluxe edition. So we unlocked the Mandalorian pack.
Oh, yeah.
And Quill has it. Yeah. Is a scavenger, but I think she's trying to get a Kyber brick in Gungan City that's sitting like way on top of a bubble, and you have to glide down. So I think that's what she's trying to get to. I'm not sure.
So if you carry on with the story, there'll be a point where it will so you have no gadgets. So yeah, it'll get to a point where it will introduce you'll like go into a big room and there'll be like 10 different things that you have to collect, and it will literally like you follow the breadcrumbs and it will guide you to a little table, and it'll be like, this is the breaker blaster, and you'll shoot a wall and there'll be one of the things you have to find behind it, and then it will guide you to the next point, and it'll be
Okay.
like, this is the glider, and then you'll like climb up a ladder and do the glide, and it will basically like unlock those things. I'm trying to think who would be the first scavenger that you get in Phantom Menace that would like
who would be a scavenger character other than like Anakin or
let me see.
Watto?
Said one Anakin is one of the other people, like he has no abilities. Sorry, let me find this.
We're gonna find it out.
Yeah.
I'll go through here. So I use StreamYard to do this show, and this always pops up, which is fun. This is a tutorial for my studio. It's always at the top. I don't know if no one's ever actually showed this during a podcast, but that's always the first comment in the back end here.
If you are desperate though, the point in Force Awakens where Rey learns the stuff is just after the first level. So you could probably run that pretty quickly if you don't mind sort of going out of order. And then all of your characters would have...
Oh, so all the characters would have it after that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because that like... Oh, wait. Rey, Chief Chopper, Jawa, Quill, Logray, Paploo, Tido, Tusken Raider, maybe?
For episode 1?
You would have to unlock that character.
I think you unlock that character after the pod race, maybe?
Potentially. I think it's one of the characters that once you unlock it, you have to then like buy it to properly unlock it.
Okay.
But
might work.
Oh, can young anything?
It's like a Jawa would be
translation.
Maybe.
That's really cool.
Like a Jawa would be more a scavenger than I guess Tusken Raiders are as well, because they're picking Luke's ship apart. Where's Landspeeder?
Yes.
Cool. I like the game if I can play it. It's just I got so gun shy. I felt so afraid to do free play because essentially what happened was I'm like, just do story mode because really we like just playing free play.
Yeah.
But then once it started crapping out on us during free play, I was like, I don't want to lose any progress. It really sucks having to redo a mission.
I've only had, I haven't had many bugs at all. Every so often I'll have like a texture pop or something. But there was one bug that I had in the level The High Ground, which is Mustafar Lava Fight, where for some reason, like there was a point where I'd beaten Anakin up enough that it was triggering like a big jump for the character to a different floating platform. And just the spot that my character was at on the skiff that we were riding on, he kept hitting a wall. So like when he went to do the jump, he would just like vibrate against this wall rather than actually making the full jump. And essentially I just had to like quit out the level and restart it, which was annoying.
It's always a pain.
Yeah. But like I said, the levels of this are relatively short, so like replaying them isn't that much of a chore.
Yeah, I think the problem is when you go through it the first time, you're like breaking everything you can to get as many studs as you can.
Yeah.
And then you show up at the beginning and all that stuff's there again.
Yeah.
You just need to rebuild it. Do you have anything to promote? Anything to before we bounce out? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm pretty much flying under the radar at the moment. But
I feel like I one of these days, I mean, James keeps talking about it.
Yeah.
Discussing with you your work on Solo, a Star Wars story. You're on the editorial team, and if it has insight on both versions of the film.
I mean,
I don't know what you can say and what you can't, but I feel like
that's the thing. Nor do I. I can't remember what my NDA covers, and if it even still is live.
I mean, it's so tight-lipped. You told me something once, and I don't think I could share it on here or not, but the information you told me concerning both cuts was I found fascinating.
Yeah.
And we gotta figure out what you can say.
We're gonna work out what.
But I mean, I was baffled by the
Yeah.
information you gave me
I
and
mean,
what you
it
guys
was a
saw.
baffling job.
What you guys saw in both cuts,
Yeah.
especially like similarities
Mhm.
and
sure.
and not so much differences. I found incredibly intriguing.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, man, I wish I could see that cut. Oh, they shot so much of it. I wish I could see that cut. But what you told me, I'm
you
like,
have.
yeah,
The
they're the same movie.
It will be fun to go down memory lane on it as well, because like it's so long ago and I've done so much since then that it's like I'm trying to think of how much I remember and like how much will come back to me from that production and what was going on.
And your team does the films. Do you guys do the shows at all?
Well, that was a different place that I worked at. That was my previous job. Same like job role, but previous job. And we did little bits of work on Mando season 1, but not a huge amount. I remember.
I imagine those were boring.
Well,
those dailies are boring. It's just walking around in a desert.
Yeah, like generally it was pretty similar. But I remember the first moment that what's it called? The Disney's big screen, big LED screen. I can never remember what it's called.
The volume.
Yes, yeah. I remember the first time I was watching Rushes and the volume turned off, and it blew my mind. Like I was like, oh, this is a really cool set that they've built of just them like walking through a market, and then the volume like it went to like just
black,
blue, and it was just like,
wow,
what? What? Like it was.
That's awesome.
It was wild.
Yeah, we got to do a deep dive. We'll do it. If we do, we'll do a data link episode, and it may be something that we have to pre-record instead of doing live, in case you have second thoughts on like something you mentioned.
Yeah,
I need needs to get edited out, but
I need
to go read your NDAs.
See if I've still got it anywhere, because like I said, it was at the old work that I was working at.
Because they're so tight-lipped about these. Like Rogue One changes and the solo, changes and stuff. And I'm like, why? It's like you look at the Rogue One teaser trailer, you see what they cut, and story-wise, you can tell, oh, it just went on too long. And they took the fight down to the beach and they found a spot to cut it short on the tower. Like a lot of Rogue One makes sense to me. But Solo, there's this intrigue of, they changed, like the directors were completely different. Like Lord and Miller, what they do is completely different than what Ron Howard does.
For sure.
And so there's this sort of this myth that there's like this completely different version of Solo that's out there, and we got to see it. What was so crazy that they had to change to a completely different guy to direct it. So we got go check your NDA, see what we can talk about,
see what I can get around.
Because at this point, I feel like I keep bugging James about it and about having you on to do that. And if we can get you on to talk about Star Wars or Lego Star Wars, we can.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, all right, I'm gonna let you go.
Nice one.
And I'm gonna
thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun chatting, and I mean, it's easy. It's to chat with guests. I feel like me and James enjoy chatting with guests. It perks us up. Good at it. Thanks. If you want to follow Ed at Ed Pettifer at I don't know if I'm saying that right.
That is it. Yep.
On Twitter, and until next time. I guess celebrate the love, and I guess I'll just do this and say punch it myself.
Oh,
Unless you want to say punch it.
I'm trying to think of something that works for both Lego and for Star Wars. I guess I can just do the Rey menu quote, which is I just need someone to show me my place in all this.
All right.
See you later.